Good afternoon. I'm going to talk about the enabling village from a user's perspective today, and I'll be showing some photographs that I took when I was there at the enabling village in Redhill, Singapore in the year 2016. I was with about 15 students who did the Universal Design elective class, and this the students are actually at the back of this picture rather than the front. So we were with another group, and I was a brief by the person who took us around. And I I have not done much research regarding this development in terms of the architect's design, but I will be talking about this from the perspective of a user who uses a wheelchair and also who can actually walk a bit. And this is sort of the aerial view of the area, which was a vocational school, and that the enabling village was a concept or an idea that the Singapore government decided to develop, and hopefully this enabling village contribute to um, what do you call it, the development of the area or serve the community there. And it's quite close to the Redhill MRT, quite accessible to the public transport system. This is the main entrance next to the T junction where the enabling village is, and a wider redevelopment of the areas because of going to more public transportation. They did traffic calming solutions in the area um, for people to have the ease of use in terms of going from one place to another, including persons with disabilities and older persons. The existing block A, NES, was converted later, and also the corridors were converted to have better what do you call it design to make it less slippery, less water coming into the corridors during rainy season, and more access to the yeah. By this picture, you can see that it's been upgraded to allow for better accessibility, safety, and usability of the spaces, and especially the corridor spaces. And it's reflected here um, as when we were there. Although it's cement rendered, at least less of water would get into the corridor, and it'd be much more safe for people to use it. And this is the elevation that shows the block uh, that using secondary structures to add in this horizontal inclined planes and fins to not allow um, to provide for a much more better conducive environment. This stripe pebble dash that leads to the main entrance in terms of walking here, and this is near the main area where there's a lot of seating, and additional structures were erected so that cover more area to not let in and to make it much more conducive and in terms of let out the rain and not get wet. And this area, a lot of seating, and the seating, I was quite fascinated with it because of I have weak lower limb, and I can easily propel myself upwards if I were because of the extended railing that was designed. If you were to do this railing to the back and not extend it in front like that from the bench, it'd be difficult for some people to get up. It's not really that useful. So you must actually understand how people propel themselves forward when they get up from the sitting position to a standing position. And yes, that's it's concrete design and with extended grab bar towards the front. Um, we adopted this design actually in our bus stop design at University Malaya that we did um, for the seating area. So yeah, you can see um, it's inclusive. People can sit around. The chairs are movable, and surrounding is lush garden. And WOHA, the architect, created this landscape with lush vegetation, which water bodies as well, in order to that was an agenda that is part of uh, the idea regarding this integrating biodiversity and nature as part of everyday spaces. So it's not something odd, yeah. So the adaptive reuse of um, include the biodiversity, um, have insects and other fauna as well as flora um, that gives some richness to the space. And you can see the water body, but you can't really enter it though. But it provides that thing that they want, that is always green around you and in between spaces, because the block was designed in such a way that there are this in between spaces. How would people get around it? A series of corridors, ramps, and access ways um, with this green in between areas. Design such as the push button sliding door is cheaper than the automatic one, so this was adopted here. Refuge space for person with disabilities waiting to be assisted out if there's in case of emergency with the push button and uh, information in braille lettering as well. And braille lettering exists at the handrail, to assist people to know at what level they are, and embossed lettering and braille so that they can orientate themselves. The nosing is contrast, but not that great. But in terms of black against gray, and the railing is with a grip. You can see just now the refuge space that is located outside of the lift lobby. And at the lift lobby, you can find seating area um, for people to wait while they go up the lift. And details like how you would clean your, you would like to get dry. How do you actually think about the dry and wet spaces? The corridor outside could be wet, and this you need to have a mat. But how does this mat not move around when you use them a lot? And how do you maintain these things? It's one of the issues. So junctions such as this, at the moment, um, they just place some sort of a grill in order for someone not to fall into that. But this could be better designed. Access to this pavilion or rest area amidst the landscape area. And the corridors, you look at raised where the pedestrian crosses it, and you don't have to wheel too much to the ground, to the road, and get up again. So it's kind of smooth and continuous. And also, because it's sloping, the existing site, and you want to minimize any steps or change levels, that is a barrier. There are a lot of ramps, so these ramps are simple enough in design and with a warning guide at the ends and at the landing so that the blind person can detect these things, the change of levels. And details such as this using wooden slats to make it less hot sun to be direct to the corridor. We're looking at accessible toilet now. Singapore has a standard that has the grab rail at the back of the WC, and here you have the adjustable grab rail next to the sink, and possible entry or transfer into the onto the toilet seat from the side, diagonal, and in front is showed here. And even have a vertical grab bar, which probably would help with somebody standing to grab on. And yes, you can see that grab bar at the back, which is missing in the Malaysian standards, which we need to incorporate. Of course, as a user, I always have problems with the bidet to be right at the back, and the bidet should have been placed at the side, um, below the toilet roll. Maybe that's a problem that the toilet roll if go down can get wet, but those are the things that we need to think about. You can see through the mirror that the swing door of this toilet can push towards the outside. So that this is because you use a swing door, you can put your hand towel next to the wall because the sliding door would have eaten up that space. And also another thing, if you have uh, a space that you don't have enough space to push the sliding door, then it's better to use a swing door. So the floor trap is under the sink behind uh, the sink, and there's no shower here, so that's okay. Um, the latch is easy to use if you have weak fingers, and you can quickly snap it up or down. And push sign says push, so you push it. The swing door and an embossed braille below that, and contrast uh, lettering of push against black. And this is easily done. It goes to the lobby area. The horizontal bar is very useful when you are inside and you want to pull it in, and you can pull the horizontal bar. So the latch is very robust and it's vandal proof. And although it's being used a lot, it still looks intact and so on. So from the outside, if somebody is locked inside, you can open it. Somebody can help by putting in a coin and it can be opened. This is in an emergency. So um, there should be an alarm mechanism inside if somebody falls down so that they could trigger the alarm. And this is something that this is from the front, where you pull the handlebar is pulled and it's vertical rather than horizontal. This is an example of the sliding door that is at a female toilet. And for sliding doors, there's always the maintenance issues and the space that you need so that you can slide it open and you have enough opening area for you to enter. So that's what the point I'm trying to make regarding if you have a big space, you can have a sliding door. And when you have a sliding door, you need to have that space next to it for you to push it, to have the strength to push the door. If it's right next to the wall, it's so difficult. And also, how is it slides, and is it using a rail um, at the back of it, or is it top hung and the rail is on the top? And it will wobble if it's on the top if you don't have something that guides it at the bottom. So when you close it, so this one doesn't have a locking mechanism as we can see it. That is fine because it's just closing the area of the female toilets behind it. So a reception area, which is the first point of contact for the person with disability. Outside of this area, there is like a directory that can be um, push the button and it can come to the height that you want to in order for you to be able to read the text, that is the directory. But you can always come to this reception to ask further questions. And equal emphasis for a person with disability on the right, where you can actually wheel and have enough knee space and look at the same height somebody's eyes, the person who is assisting you, rather than look down on you from the reception. It's not a good thing, a good feeling. So this is very helpful. And there is also an indicator on the right on the wall showing um, hearing induction loop available. Hearing induction loop is used in this place at the auditorium and in places like this, so that those hearing impaired using hearing aid, they can be, if you cannot really hear the person can talk in a mic, and what they say is amplified into the hearing aid using this induction loop system. So this is very friendly for person with disability here. And I would assume that they have sign language interpretation as well, since the enabling village is, I didn't tell you just now regarding the function or the brief of the enabling village, which is to create a focal point for expansion of training and employability efforts. And I will show you some of this picture of what it is. But one of this thing, the thing about this um, enabling village, it creates a one-stop access to provide information and referral services on government schemes for persons with disabilities and their caregivers. So you need to welcome person with disabilities to this area, and this reception area is very important for that one-stop center, all these other points regarding the spaces around the auditorium spaces, and space for person with wheelchair users to also be part of the spectator or participant in the auditorium. Push button, as a lot of this push button mechanism and everything is seamless. You can just enter without any steps. Some details in this kiosk again, sorry, pavilion, a lot of greenery. In this pavilion, I can tuck myself in my wheelchair and be at eye level with the person sitting next to me. These are some of the programs or facility that's available at this area, called the playground area, including the multimedia training lab. So this is why it is this enabling village is focal point for expansion of training and employability efforts. Pilot new models and provide best practice on training, job assistance, and work integration. So it's for person with disability to come and be trained here. Also, there is a kindergarten, there are family development area, and so it's for children as well, an older person, whom, and a specific one for stroke support station. The playground area is a playground apparatus here, and more of the corridor with enough shelter overhead to make it cool and get out the rain. Services, facade details. And this is the playground area where you actually play on a seesaw for wheelchair user. You can just get up this ramp and you can involve yourself. And this is for children in terms of simple and intuitive design for them to play in this area. Locker space, which is, you can choose the more accessible lower ones, obviously. And it is embossed so that you can know the lettering is very specific, 1322, and that's how it's opened up, and there is a combination for them to lock it. Staircases are some of them specifically around the children area where the children uses it, has a lower handrail for their height and for them to propel themselves upwards. And integrated with the taller railings, obviously. This is important to note that an auditorium or a set of stairs and set of ramps coming down come outdoor amphitheater or outdoor uh, area where you can spectate or to listen to music or some performance that's going to be done below. And I've tried using this myself, and I find this to be safe, and there's enough railings there for me to get down and use the space. Um, this is in contrast with some viral photos of uh, without railings and unsafe ones that's been going on. Um, so I think that's the most interesting design in the community area. Um, I don't see overly many people come here, but they are welcome here if they want to come here. And I've seen teenagers at the top there near where the vegetation, where the trees are, and plugging their phone, charging their phone, and chit chatting around. So it's really a place where you're welcome if you want to. And places like this where you tuck yourself in, a little bit of play with with the building elements and different use of material. And yeah, back to the corridor. And yeah, I was mentioning about the training center. Yeah, the part for training such as this is also for public education in a community space. And they welcome us, and we can see that something is going on here in terms of training, availability of different wheelchairs and choice, an innovation center where they they um, they 3D printed solutions to problems for person with disabilities, like a gripper for the can. You can see 3D printers around. The innovation center also have like a place to place, so that you know if you can't use two fingers, you can use other fingers, so they can have better grip, like the gripper there. And these solutions, be it for children, be it for person with disabilities, is good experimentation um, for people to find the solutions and for the center to come up with them. So it's our books and more of this ramp system because of the previous sloping site. They have many steps. I was just talking about this. The ramp is used for most people. If you want an option, you can use the staircase, which is parallel to the ramp on the right. And if there's rain, the wheelchair user or people who need to use the ramp do not feel that they don't have access. But the people who can walk can also use this access. So you see there's a choice, and also there is inclusion in this photograph. Sorry, we're going back here. A gallery area and painted floor with letterings to um, to show the way to around this area, which is like there's a cafe there, art and coffee, and it's good for persons with intellectual disabilities as well. It's more predictable. You can just follow the lines, and other kiosks along the way for other activities. And finally, we come to the area where is a model of a shopping supermarket. So in front there is outside is the ATM machine for also for non-sighted or blind people to use. We have um, audio and braille facilities here. So you can see that on the left. And they use Easy Link, like in Malaysia, use Touch and Go. And in here you can, problem for blind person is when someone helps them with at the ATM and could take away some of the money. So this is a lot of features here in the tactile below. Stops in front of assistant control, a button for to get assistance to go into the supermarket. And the supermarket has these trolleys, which was very helpful. I could clamp it to the wheelchair, if I have a wheelchair, and do my shopping. This is a view that I'm pushing the trolley and taking the photo, and I can wheel myself without having to touch the trolley handle while just picking up goods that I want to buy, such as the water bottle on the left. So with that, I would like to stop the share and conclude about my journey to enabling village in 2016 was opened my eyes to a lot of inclusive design ideas, um, and it's refreshing to see a famous architects such as WOHA with a showcase building project, and the bigger picture of rejuvenation of the heartlands by the Singapore government using adaptive reuse of old buildings as a model of community amenity and reclaiming and connecting the ground for the people, and in this design integrating biodiversity and nature as part of everyday spaces. So congratulations on that project. That's a criticism about the project, that it doesn't involve the community and so much. But I'm not going to comment about that because I was a visitor, and if I was someone from the community, I probably have a different take on it. But as a visitor, it is very interesting that if I could bring many of our friends from Southeast Asia to come and visit this example, they can come back, they can go back to their countries and start a similar center. And this is the thing that is good when you have a model like this for employment for persons with disabilities, and we could adopt it and adapt it to our needs and our context. So thank you very much for that, to Judy Wee and Goh Siam Im and people from the uh, Building Construction Authority, and who led us through the place, and also the lady who gave a briefing for us, and basically enabling village for accommodating us that day many years ago. So this video is done for the Universal Design um, class, an elective class for the Master of Architecture course, School of Architecture, University Melayu. Thank you very much.